Here we are again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the world you are. Hope you're doing great. And so excited with another session with a great speaker, a professional here in this session. I'm sure you already heard about the speaker in the promotion socials. And but yeah, it is the July calendar. I'm so excited that we started with the new month's calendar with the Zero to Hero community from Microsoft Learning Rooms. And yeah, Said, what do you think?
Yeah, hello everyone. It's really great. I'm so happy that I'm on this stage again, hosting another session. And who's better than Tiago? So we have Tiago in this stage again. I'm so excited because, to be honest, the last session that we had with Tiago, I watched that session twice. And I believe it will be happen for this session again. I'm so happy to have this man in our stage. It's like enjoying moment of technical performance and everything that we can get from Tiago. So it's really great opportunity. So I don't want to, spend a lot of time for our intro. As usual, Hamid, we are going to have our slides here. So let's start, Hamid. Go with the two first slides.
As Said mentioned, so excited to have Tiago today with today's session and with the topic of finding lack of your Azure governance disturbing. I find your lack of Azure governance disturbing. That's such an
Yeah, he
exciting topic,
found it.
actually.
He found it. We are looking forward to see what he found.
Yeah, I'm so excited that we just quickly move forward, and I just want to start with the session. Uh, yes, Microsoft Learn. Said,
Yeah.
you want to go over it?
Yeah, so Microsoft Learn is the greatest and richest place if you want to learn about not only technical but also some kind of skills that you're looking for. And it's really great because you have this opportunity to learn from the fundamental to up to the advanced experts levels. And it's a great opportunity because you have Microsoft Learn community, Microsoft learning rooms, like Microsoft Zero to Hero community, and we are together have this circulation of the knowledge. You can reach to the experts, ask your question, or if you have something to share, this is the great place that you can be there. You can share it with the other learners, and you just know that we are around 6,000 members only in Microsoft Zero to Hero, and we are about 12,000 members together in Microsoft Learn community. So the doors are open for you. Just come and join us. And if you want to learn more about that, aka.ms Microsoft Learn community is the link, short link that you can use to join. And as always, Hamid mentioned about that, make Microsoft Learn homepage in your bookmarks so you can always reach to that page like by a click. So it's amazing. Just join us and let's enjoy learning together in a very solid, integrated, connected environment together in Microsoft Learn. And next slide, Hamid, we just released this Microsoft Backyard and it's great. The first episode we had Kerry together with us, and if you haven't watched this recorded video yet, check out our YouTube channel. And Microsoft Backyard is not a technical session. It's not a technical recording which kind of show. It's a great show talking about lifestyle, life experience, and everything that you want to learn from experts, successful experts, Microsoft employee, RDs, Microsoft MVPs. And we make, always I'm saying, we make this kind of shows by love. And we would like to change even small change, positive small change in your life. So it's a kind of way that you can leverage that to improve yourself in your career and also learning path. What do you think about Microsoft Backyard, Handy?
I'm so excited yesterday when it's released, and it's just look at it like as a like inspirational podcast. As I mentioned, it's not a technical session like talking about Microsoft cloud services or technologies. It's the success stories from professionals all over the world But we have a first episode with Kerry Herger. He is a worldwide Microsoft Learn lead manager, and I just watched it several times. It's not that much long, like hours of talking about the lifestyle or success stories, but it's just almost 30 minutes of answering some questions and sharing the experience and what happened, why we are here now. I would recommend watching it. I will try to drop the link from YouTube into this chat so people can also use to reach out to the YouTube link.
Exactly. So don't miss this video, and we are looking forward for your feedbacks and comments regarding this kind of show. But stay tuned. We will invite more Microsoft employees, artists, and MVPs to this show. So with that said, July calendar. So our July calendar lineup is hot as sun. So we start with Tiago, and you can imagine how much is great the other sessions. So don't miss that. You can find the links for the registration, and also we always publish about this each session in our social media, specifically on LinkedIn. So don't miss that, and make sure that you registered for all of these sessions. And yeah, let's learn together in the Microsoft Learn way. Right, Amit?
Of course, definitely.
Perfect. And the last slide, code of conduct. So in Microsoft Zero to Hero session, we expected you to be aware of others, be friendly and patient, be welcoming and respectful, be open to all questions and viewpoints, be understanding of differences, and be kind and considerate to others. With that said, okay, let's... Hello, Tiago. Welcome to this stage again, man.
Hello. I've been here listening to you guys, and in the background. It's great to be here. It's kind of the first session that you guys do in the new fiscal for Microsoft. So it's a new year. It's a new Microsoft year. Let's never forget that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's the really great point. Thank you that you mentioned about that. Amazing. But Tiago, before you start, uh, as uh, as an expert who traveling, talking about Microsoft technology as Microsoft MVP, MCT,
Trust
everyone knows you. Yeah, you are the legend. Okay. As a person in this position, what do you think about Microsoft Learn? Why Microsoft Learn is valuable, and why we need to follow Microsoft Learn?
Well, to start, there is a great, something that I always tell everyone is that in terms of career evolution, if you want to change your life, learning has to happen. You need to learn something, or else, you're stuck in that dead end job that, you don't evolve. Salary wise, probably is also not the best. And then we have something which is Microsoft Learn, where you can, you know, learn new skills. And working in tech, we are always learning new skills. And then comes the best part, because there's a lot of places to learn. Look, it's like lots of them, and some of them better than others, but a lot of them are pretty good. Let's be honest, okay? But Learn has a price tag that is impossible to beat. It's free. Okay.
That's true.
So, even if you can't afford, because again, you have a very not so good job, you don't have spare money, there's no excuses. Okay. You have this, it's free. You can take it at your own time. You can take this from your phone. So, I've been fortunate enough to help some people moving into their careers. And there is one person that I know is watching for sure. That he started to learn stuff from his phone. Got it? Because he couldn't afford the computer. Now he's a cloud administrator today, so I'm very proud of him. And if he's watching, okay, I don't going to say his name for privacy reasons, of course, but it is really a great example, to say, because today he has a nice, okay job. Okay, he's still in his early days in tech and in IT, and I think this is a great story to just to tell. When people ask me this, I always tell this story. Okay, It's free. He only had a very bad smartphone, and he made it. If he made it, look, and everyone can also make it. It's just a little bit of persistency. It's not easy. You're going to struggle a lot. Sure, you will, but you will make it. That's usually something that I also like to say. Okay, it's not easy. It's not straightforward. Sure not. Don't
Very
expect
well said.
that. Okay, but you're going to make it.
Very well
Yeah,
said, Tiago. Great.
decent answer. Thank you so much.
I will.
Perfect. So, the stage is yours, and let's bring up your slides.
Yeah, there
And
you go.
people enjoy this session. And good luck, Tiago.
Good
Okay,
luck.
thank you so much. So, yeah, we're going to talk about basically Azure governance, okay? And I kind of did this title, I was trying to find, a catchy title, to be honest. And then I remember this. I was like, wow, this is a good one. And in the end, it's not just so catchy because it's actually true. Is that if you're not doing Azure governance today and you have an Azure infrastructure, and look, don't tell me, oh, Tiago, but our infrastructure is pretty small. We don't need this. You're wrong. Everyone needs this. Azure governance is not something that you can choose to have and not to have. You have to have. Because if you don't have this, you're going to lack security, you're going to overpay, and in bigger environments, it's going to be really hard to manage all your Azure resources. So for every company, every organization in the world, they need some kind of Azure governance. Okay. So I would like to welcome everyone. My name is Tiago. I'm a cloud architect and advisor for the Microsoft Cloud, and I've been helping organizations migrating into the best place where they can be, which is in Azure, for the past 10, 14 years. So I've been working with Azure since it was called Project Red Dog, for the oldies out there that know what that means. This was the code name for Microsoft Azure. And lately, I've been working a lot in the governance space, identity governance, resource governance, FinOps, and also in the artificial intelligence on the AI world. And I've been, also doing a lot of cloud native projects for organizations out there. I'm based in Lisbon, Portugal. I love to travel, and I've been in already in 77 countries, and hopefully in 2 months' time, okay, it's going to be 78. So I'm super excited for that travel. Okay, that trip, that's going to be awesome. So what's the agenda today? First, we're going to talk a little bit about what is the cloud today, what's the status of the cloud today. Then just a reference about something called the CAF and the WAF, cloud adoption framework, well architected framework. No, we are not talking about the web application firewall today. Okay, it's a great topic. I also have a session on that. But this is the well architected framework. Then subscription management groups, Azure policies. I'm a lover of Azure policies, and also a little bit of cost management. So what is the cloud today? Today we have millions of cloud resources out there. It's pretty normal to have customers at least with like thousands and thousands and thousands of resources into their Azure infrastructure. Sometimes they even don't have just Azure, they also have other clouds. I just bring two logos here: GCP from Google Cloud Platform and AWS, Amazon Web Services. Great clouds too. Okay. Customers sometimes, they use Azure plus AWS, Azure plus Google Cloud. It's a multi-cloud environment. It is a great world to work and just to use the best of each cloud to their abilities. And cloud is not something that is just that small project on that business unit. No, not that anymore. It is across the organization. So it crosses departments, it crosses countries, it is spread through the all organization. So that means we have hundreds of stakeholders that have something to say in the Azure resources. Because let's never forget, when I built something for, let's just say, the marketing department, that project, those Azure resources have a business stakeholder, which clearly is not the IT, clearly is not the cloud team. It is someone from the marketing department, okay? Those are the stakeholders. So we're going to have multiple stakeholders in on our Azure resources. So we have to do something that can, make all this cloud complexity easier to manage. Okay. So with this, we have some cloud management capabilities. And when we talk about this, we talk about security, we talk about protection, monitoring, configuration, and govern. Well, guess what? Today, we are focusing here on the governance part, policy management, cost management. Even though configuration is awesome, monitoring is awesome, protection is awesome, and security is more than awesome, is like crucial to have, we're not here to talk about that. So we're here to talk about just this governed part. And in this governed part, look, we have also a lot of stuff to cover. So there's more than things to cover today. I could even do like a 10-hour session in all of this, more even, okay? But it's policy-based management. So we need to create standards across my cloud environment. But it's not just, writing them in a piece of paper or in a document somewhere on your SharePoint or in a wiki page or look, whatever tool you're using for this. We need to make sure they are enforced. And for this, we have technology, namely Azure policies being one of those technologies that we can do to make sure that we enforce the policies that we have defined, the standards. Sometimes because, we're using and we're implementing an existing standard and we need to implement that, or because we internally in our organization, we just decided this is it. This is how I'm doing this. Then we have cost management and optimization. And I don't want to enter into the discussions about what's more expensive on-prem and cloud, because definitely is on-prem, okay? Cloud is less expensive. And I'm not even going to question that. And we're not going to have this discussion today. But there's one thing that I want to say. If you don't do it right, yes, cloud is more expensive, definitely. And believe me when I say this, that by far, the great majority of the organizations are not doing this right. They don't even know what FinOps is. They don't even know, that you can save money by using some techniques, etc., etc. So this is something that you need to monitor your bill, and you need to also take accountability into the departments, because that project that I was telling you about, the marketing department, I go to the marketing department. Hey, you're the stakeholders of this. This costs you $100,000, 100,000 euros, look, whatever it is, per year. Believe me that if that's not needed anymore, they will let you know. I have customers that they don't do this. And then they found out projects that are running that costs them like 20K, 30K per year. That when we kind of knock on the door of the stakeholder, oh no, we're not using this anymore. And this is like there for years and they are spending, okay, on that. This is just an example. So we definitely need to take this accountability. We need to knock on that door, say, hey, this is yours, are we still needing this? Do we really need it this level? With so many, let's just say we have like 10 virtual machines running this. Do you really need 10? Maybe less than 10 is better because you spend less money. It will work. Well, I don't know. Just a question that you have to make. Resource visibility. When you have thousands of Azure resources, believe me, I know it's a nightmare for you to find, that storage account where you have your stuff. Um, So we need to find ways also, to make this better. We also have subscription governance. Again, uh, it's like we can have DevOps teams, okay, to just deploying things into subscriptions. How they are going to do that, okay? How do you need a new subscription? Well, we need to find ways to actually create processes to actually create a new subscription. We're going to give a subscription to you because this is fulfilled. Okay. So that's what we're going to cover. So now let's start just to clear up two topics here, CAF and WEF. The Cloud Adoption Framework is basically a framework, like the name says, that enables a cloud architect to basically achieve their goals, which is basically making sure that cloud is adopted throughout the organization. The thing is, in order to do this, Microsoft created the CAF based on best practices that they created to help customers. So through partners, through their own expertise, helping customers moving into Azure, they created a set of best practices, documentations, and tools to help you implementing business processes inside the cloud. What do you get with this? Well, it's that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already there. You just need to use it. Okay, so that's a great thing. We have a bunch of pillars in the cloud adoption framework, namely, define the strategy. And you can see there, like one of the first questions that I do when I meet with customers is understanding, look, what's your motivations into going into the cloud? And I write that. They tell me something and I write, something about that. Then I ask, what's the business outcome that you want from this? You want to go to the cloud. Why? Oh, because it's cheaper. Oh, because it will provide me, a better availability, better scalability than our on-prem environment. Okay. Business justifications. And then, we can do a bunch of stuff, but maybe what's the prioritization projects that I might want to have for this? Something that is easy to do, something that's not that relevant, so that we kind of gain traction, we gain experience because the team doesn't have experience, okay? So that we can get that. Look, and then plan things, make sure everything is ready using concepts like landing zones, to implement all this, adopt by migrating some servers that you might have on prem, then having app modernization processes so that we can then look at those virtual machines and say, maybe we can take this virtual machine and migrate this to a SQL database. Or this is an app. Maybe we can use, app services. Maybe we can use container technology. Look, whatever. On the bottom of those four pillars that we have here, as you can see, there's security. I'm sure everyone understands, and I don't need to explain how important that is today. There is the management part, business outcomes, baselines into operations and maturity. And then there is govern. So govern is this bit here. That's the important part. Business risks that you might have by migrating into the cloud, policy and compliance, and governance maturity. This is a lot of stuff that's already built in the CAF, and you can just search, cloud adoption for Azure Cloud Adoption Framework. Then you go to the Azure Architect Center, and it has lots of documentations there that you guys can check it out. But there's also the well-architected framework. The well-architected framework also takes up like 5 different pillars. The first one is cost optimization. The idea is to maximize, the value that I'm delivering with the Azure resources. So I'll try to, manage the best in my ability the costs, still, delivering a state-of-the-art solution. Then we also have operational excellence. And so when we talk about operational excellence, it's having operation processes so that you keep your process to run in production like all the time. So there's like no downtime, okay, and things like that. Efficiency, okay? This is when you have a system that, has a certain load, but if you have a peak on the load or a change in the load to go, to grow, but also to decrease, because let's never forget, load gets bigger, 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 but then there is also sometimes that we lose some of the requests, okay? So we're going to have less requests. And the adaptability of our solution, it is quite important. Then we talk about reliability. It's the ability of a system to recover from failures, because look, you're going to have failures. It's just a matter of knowing what happens when you're going to have those failures. And I don't want a system to get salted or something like that, okay? And then security. Look, you need to protect your application, your data against all those very, very bad and weird threats that today happen in the world. This is what the well-architected framework, will give you. So let's get started here talking about subscription management. So when we talk about subscription management, so the first thing that I want to talk about, it's very easily, is just understanding what is a subscription. I like this definition, okay? It's a logical unit of Azure services that are linked to an Azure account. An Azure account is how you pay things, okay? That's what we call the Azure account. And then you have an Azure subscription that, it's connected with that Azure account. We can easily use this as a security and also a billing boundary. So it's very easy for me to tell you, hey, this subscription cost me $7,000 in the last period, so the last month. And it's like super easy. It gets on the bill. It's pretty straightforward. There's no big questions there, okay? Is also a big security boundary, because when you're doing role-based access control and you have to do like a role assignment, there's one thing that's called the scope. And the scope could be a management group, could be a resource group, could be a resource, and between the management group and the resource group could be a subscription. So it can also be a subscription. So it's very easy for me to say, hey, this user or this identity here will have a certain level of role at the subscription one scope. That means within that subscription, you're going to have, let's just say, imagine reader. You're going to have reader permissions, okay, over there. And it's just a security boundary, very easy to do. Regarding the billing boundary, I'm not a fan. I'm just going to start to tell you now, not a fan of that. Because then for you to have like a good cost management structure, you need to have tons of subscriptions, okay? Then you tell me, Tiago, but we don't pay subscriptions, so what's the problem? Well, not all resources like that approach. And one of them is infrastructure as service. For example, if you want to create a virtual machine in one subscription and another VM in another subscription, because we're billing concerned. So no, this VM is from this department, so I'm going to create in subscription one. This one here is from the other subscription, so I'm going to create this in subscription two, so that I know how much I pay to each one of them. Sure, okay. So when you create one VM in one subscription, all the networking stuff needs to be in the same subscription. So that means the VNet needs to be in the same subscription. So I'll have a VNet, so a virtual network, a VNet here with a VM here, and on the other, okay, subscription, I will have another VM and another VNet. Now let's imagine they need to talk with each other. How are you going to do this? Well, natively, they are independent. So VNets, natively, they do not talk with each other. They do not see each other. If you want, yes, you can configure this. Yes, peering. Someone's already saying, I can do peering, Tiago. Sure. But never forget, peering comes with a cost of management, a cost of, basically implementing this. It's easy, I know, but you need to document. In the enterprise market is not so cheap. But then this also comes with a running cost because you need to pay for the traffic on the peering. Got it? Just because you wanted to know exactly how much you pay. Well, guess what? I'm a fan of tags. That's how you should do things. It's through tags, okay? But let's talk about this. I still say Azure AD tenant. My God. This is an intra ID tenant. And what we have here is, I can have a subscription. I get another subscription, and I have this subscription still in the same intra ID tenant here. And I can have a bunch more subscriptions in the same intra ID tenant. This intra ID tenant, they all need to be connected to at least with one, well, at least not with one, exactly with one intra ID tenant. And why is that? Because everything that is identity will be here. And, those are the identities that can have permissions to do stuff in your subscriptions. Okay, can go on the subscription, create resources, can read resources, can do whatever. If you have a managed identity, if you have an app registration, everything happens in this intra ID, okay? So there you go. What happens is, even if I'm very careful in creating subscriptions, okay, what's going to happen to me is something that happens to everyone. Eventually, you're going to have tons of subscriptions. And so you might want to manage those. That's managed with management groups. So management groups, as you can see here, is not just something that you just create them and, management group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's its own hierarchy in terms of management groups, as you can see here. So for example, in my case, okay, in my demo environment, I have a company called AZ Contoso. And what we have is, I have here AZ Contoso. And then I created a management group, a second level here, that I called Corp. And this here holds all the Corp related stuff. And in here, I created another one at the same level as Corp called Branches. Okay. And then Branches is just to represent all the geos that we have. So I created here another one called Europe, another one called North America, and another one called MIA. Okay, because that's what we have in. By the way, this is based on the real customer, and then APAC. Okay, so that's what we have. That's what we have in here, and then of course, look, in Europe, I'm going to have here like subscriptions and a bunch of subscriptions because I attributed, okay, one subscription to each country so that they can run their own countrywide workloads. And then Corp, basically Corp holds a bunch of subscriptions to run the Corp workloads. So what I have done with this is, and by the way, this is based on real company. In this company, this is really big what we have in terms of Azure. And for example, now we hired, they hired, okay, I helped hired, but they hired a cloud architect for helping with stuff in Europe. So, I just came here and I just said, look, this person will have access. So I attributed a role-based access control to that person in the Europe management group. That means that this person has access to everything that's within this. Okay. So it's just easier to manage. Also, when we are designing policies, and for example, I have a policy around naming conventions. We can do this at this level here. And if you do at this top level, that policy will be applicable into all your resources that are spread across all this. So this is great for cost reporting too, because then you can say, hey, how much money am I spending in the Europe management group? Boom, and you just get that. So it's great for that. Okay, but again, like I told you, I prefer to do that via tags, but also great for security, so role-based access control. Okay, so there you go. So what do we have here? Let's just do a demo now. Okay, and in this demo, I want to show you basically here management groups. So let's just search management groups. And as you can see here, so I have my AZ Contours root. Then when I open this, I have branches and I have corp. And under branches, then I have, Europe. And then in Europe, see, I have 2 subscriptions. This is just a demo, so I don't have thousands of subscriptions, but, I have a few. And I also have under North America, I have United States, I have Canada, and look, and so on. If you go on corp in here, I have straight away 2 subscriptions, okay? Which is the corp development subscription and the corp production subscription. In my sample here, this demo company, I only have 2 environments. You probably will need to have more. Okay, so you can create subscriptions for that if that's what you want. Also, if you see here, I have a bunch of other stuff like this platform. And then under platform, I have like identity. So all the identity stuff will be inside this. And when it comes to this one here called new subscriptions, and you're like, why on earth do you have this there? You know why? Under settings, under management groups, you can say here, default management group for new subscriptions. And you can change it there if you want on the top. So what this does is that if someone goes, imagine you have an enterprise agreement, MSP, look, whatever, and you create a new subscription within the tenant that we have in here, that new subscription is going to be created under this, under that management group. I have then a bunch of a bunch of Azure policies that blocks me from creating or changing or doing whatever you want to those subscriptions. So those subscriptions are actually like super locked so that no one can do that much with them, because there's a big error in here, which is people just create a new subscription. Then this goes to a place in your management group tree that, you can just go there. There's no policies over there. So basically you can do whatever you want as long as you have permissions in that subscription. But usually you're going to get it. So you can create resources in wrong regions. You can create every resource in the way that you want, almost no restrictions. Got it? You can't have that. You have to block that. So this is what we have here. Okay, so this new subscription will block you from doing this until, a lead cloud architect, someone with the correct rights, see this new subscription, looks at it and said, I think this new subscription, because it's for a branch, is for, let's just say, India. So I'll get in here, branches, Asia. And, I just send that new subscription in here. How you can do this? Well, you grab that subscription and you just select move. And then you can say, hey, I want to move this into Asia. So imagine that was the new subscription. You just do this, you press save, and then boom. I'm not going to do that, but you press save and then you go. You're good. Then, it takes a while, like a minute or two, but eventually it will show up there. And then this management group is going to have a bunch of policies, a bunch of role-based access control already created, and eventually the subscription will be there. And then you can do whatever we allow you to do. Okay, so this is like massive, massive, massive important. So this is management groups and, some of the things that you can do with management groups. But I was talking a lot about Azure policies. I'm a huge lover of Azure policies. I love this. And Azure policies, I'm able to create, assign, and manage, policies. So this is pretty cool what we can do with this. So advantages: enforce compliance, apply policies at scale, especially, okay, plus, management groups, right? And I can also have policies that, in the action, they can even remediate certain things. Like, for example, imagine I'm creating like a resource. Oh yeah, but I need a tag of something. At least this tag needs to be filled in. Well, if you don't say anything, I will remediate this by adding a default tag value to that tag, or those tags that I consider to be like important to have. Cool. So that's something that we can do. Some Azure policies that I have, and they're pretty common, and you're going to have them. Allowed locations. So you can restrict, okay, the locations where you can create resources. And this is pretty common. So for example, today I was working with a customer that is from a specific country, and it's like a gov organization. They have the rights and they can use Azure, but they have a restriction, which is they need to use the Azure region that is within their country. They can't use any other region. Okay, so yeah, sure. Look, I already told them we're going to create here a policy called allowed locations, and I'm going to assign this policy to the top level management group, so that all the stuff within all the subscriptions, we need to make sure that they only use that one. They can't even use, okay, other regions for like their public website, which is like public information. Got it? They cannot. They are actually very, very restricted to just use that region. So sure, it's going to be easy to do. Allowed resource types. So this is something that I use a lot. And it's like this. I talk with multiple teams within the organization. Let's just talk about Azure storage, for example. And I deliver like a small workshop, and I explain, hey, this is Azure storage. This is how it works. This is the capabilities. We can do this, 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 and this. Now tell me and give me feedback. How can we use this in your organization? And then in the end of that call, we have to have an agreement on how to use, Azure storage. Usually this is like 2 calls or 3 calls, but you get the point. There's a moment that, look, this is how we create this. And then, there's some restrictions. No, you cannot have a public endpoint. It needs to be used private link for this, blah, 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 blah. And, well, we get to this. I document everything in our governance document. And then, like I said before, you cannot rely just on that document, because then people could go on Azure and create things that go against that. So then I will create the corresponding Azure policies to implement that. And starting today, I say Azure storage is allowed. And then I have a bunch of policies that govern how Azure storage is created. Every Azure storage starting now needs to be created within those rules, or else it's denied. If you don't do it that way, you get denied. So you cannot create storage accounts that goes against those rules. All the other Azure resources you just can't create because you still don't govern. You still didn't pass through this experience. Of course, for you to release this, there's like a minimal number of course, resource types that you need to have this done in order for you to be able to start using Azure. But for example, this is this customer that I was doing this today. Databricks, that's something that we are not going to use yet. And I had a person today say, hey, Tiago, I was trying to create Databricks and I just can't. Yeah, you cannot. We never passed through the experience how we're going to govern to create that. They have Data Factory. They also wanted to have Databricks to, do some processing in some integrations that they're doing. But yeah, we still don't know how to use Databricks within the organization. Okay. So now we're discussing this. Hey, how are you going to do this? And eventually, yes, this is something that we want to make sure that is governed, because they really need it. So they were explaining that to me today. So yeah, they actually need that. So yeah, we're going to do the governance, and then we're going to whitelist it. But until it's whitelisted, they just cannot use it. Of course, we don't want to be the bad guys here. We also have usually other subscriptions that have another tenant, which we call like sandbox, where they can do stuff. They can do some R&D, understanding how things are, but they cannot put data, like real data that they have over there. Okay. And over there, we are usually pretty open. They can do a bunch of stuff, but they know it's just for trying, development, research, not even to do like a dev environment for something. They cannot do that over there. It's not what those environments are meant for. Okay, that needs to be done here and needs to be governed, even a dev environment. Then we also have allow virtual machine SKUs. Okay, look, when we talk about virtual machines, Azure, everyone likes to talk about, oh, those very large virtual machines. And everyone, gets crazy about, oh, they're so big, oh, great, etc. To be totally honest, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Because 99% of the customers will never, ever use those machines. They are too big. They are too expensive for their reality. So you need to go to the SKU list and say, look, there are SKUs here that just doesn't make sense to me, and others that do sense to me. So yeah, you whitelist the ones that make sense to you. This will help you save money because you're not going to have people creating very large sizes. And also, if you actually restrict this to some Azure Virtual Machine sizes, you know what you can get? You can actually get a better use of something like Azure Reservations. Because in Azure Reservations, you need to select the sizes that you want to do reservations for. Imagine, I'm just wild guessing here, okay? Imagine that we restrict this to 4 sizes. We do reservations on those 4 sizes. This is going to be pretty effective because you don't have a spread of different sizes along all your virtual machines. So yeah, great touch here. And see, this is little things that in the end actually make you save tons of money. Required tags. Yes, we want to retire tags and its values. And then this is another one, enable Azure backup. Just stuff that you can actually do on this, okay? So yeah, I have a virtual machine. Well, you have to have Azure backup, okay? Because we want to back up everything. Sure, yeah, you can actually do this. There's a policy dashboard that we can do a bunch of stuff, but let's just do a demo and see this instead of doing and analyzing, a screenshot. So Azure portal, I need to search for policy, and when you search for policy, I get to this, and this is our. You can also click here under policy, by the way, and this is the what we call the policy dashboard. This is my infrastructure. Look, my infrastructure is a demo infrastructure, so don't point the finger at me, okay? And don't say, oh, Tiago, you have 89 uncompliant resources. Yes, I have, okay? Because I need stuff to show, okay? And that's why I have some of those things in here. So let's go with this one. I have here a policy called allow locations in here that tells me that 2 out of 6 of my stuff is okay. That means 4 is not okay. So yeah, let's click on this one and see what the problem is here. So you see, oh, this is compliant. This is compliant. Okay, that's nice to know. This is not compliant. And then also this one here is also not non-compliant, non-compliant, non-compliant. So I'm like, whoa, why is that? So you can view the assignment. You can then understand here list of allowed locations, Germany North and France South. Oh, okay. If we go back, you can see that your resources are in, other places. Those global, they are kind of ignored. This is why, they're always included. This is why they are, two of them are okay. But this is not Germany or France, neither this, neither this. So you're like, oh, yeah. So, yeah, you needed to do something, to fix this. Of course, it's easier saying than actually done. But, this is something that is not compliant in here. If we want to see something in action, so let me create here a storage account. I could create a storage account. I could create something else. It actually doesn't matter which resource type you're trying to create. And if I try to create this in a subscription that I have here called AZ Contoso UK, I have a policy at the subscription level assigned that says something like this. If you want to create stuff in here, it needs to be in one of the UK regions. There are two, one or the other. If I do this and see East US, this is already complaining about, hey, there is this policy assignment called Azure Allowed Locations UK. You can click here and check the policy details. That is not allowing to do this. If I change a region for, let's just say West Europe, still same error. But if I change to UK South, the error goes away. This is using the Azure portal, so you have this very good visualization. But if you use Azure CLI, if you're using, ARM templates, Bicep, Terraform, it actually doesn't matter how you're trying to create things. What we have here is, let me just select something else so that I can click on the policy details. If you go to view the definition of this policy, you can check that this policy has an effect of deny. So that actually means this is not going to be allowed to actually create stuff on this unless you follow, the policy. And the policy you see here there is a policy rule here that tells me if all of, and you have here, so there is a parameter, which is an array of allowed locations. If it's one of those, it's okay. Or if it's a global thing, because there are some Azure resources, like, for example, CDNs, that when you create them in a global region. So they are global resources. They are not bound to a specific region, okay? Or the type is this one, okay? Because this is a special resource. So if you do this, you're good. If not, then everything is going to be denied, okay? That's it. Now, how you do all this? Well, if you go under policies and you go under authoring, you can get here and you can get definitions. What you can do with definitions, you can get here like all the existing definitions. And look, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit here so that you can see. We can keep here doing this for a lot of minutes. There's literally thousands of policies. Those are what we call built-in, okay, policies. So they're already here. They are already built. Okay, you don't need to build them yourself. Nevertheless, if you go in here, yes, you can create custom policies. And if we see here, policy type custom, you see that I already created some. And look, I have one called naming policy for VNets. Okay, I have this one, enforcing naming conventions for storage accounts. So I have a bunch of them that I have created. Okay. And you might ask yourself, hey, Tiago, how you should create this? Well, definitely Git repository. you create the policy files. Policy files are JSON files, as you saw it. Okay, and then you have a DevOps pipeline, GitHub Actions, choose it, or whatever DevOps technology you want to push all that, so that you can get the source code of this, and you can save it, etc. Got it? So, and you can do this. If you see this one here, so this is to enable basically storage accounts. So the policy rule is pretty easy. The type is for storage accounts, so that this is just for storage accounts, and then not the field name this. So, and then I'm basically kind of saying that it needs to start with SA. Okay, that's what I'm doing in this one. Okay, so it needs to start with SA, and then needs to have 3 to 24 shards that only allow this type of shards over there. Okay, so that's what you can do with this. Okay, so that's just like pretty cool. Now, of course, you can just go and assign this policy, and I can assign this policy to a certain scope. So I can just say, hey, I want to do this in, let's just say, AI 900 demos. Okay, so select this, review, create. There you go. And now if I try to create a storage account, and I say create, and I say that I want to create in this resource group, and I say something like this is not going to be allowed. Okay, it's still past year because this takes a little bit of time for the policy to be activated, but in here it should fail. See, validation fail, and you click here and you can see, hey, this was not out because of this policy. See the policy? It's in here. Of course, if I go back and I put like SA and then some shards in here. Oops. Oh, come on. And I do review and create. It should pass now, okay? Let's just do the validation. It still didn't pass. Well, I think now this is just messing up with me. It should pass. If it doesn't work, let's just move on, okay? Because we're almost out of time. Yeah, I need to check why this didn't pass, okay? But it should be okay. Maybe it's too big. Last try, okay? I promise. If it doesn't work, that's fine, okay? We have some slides. Yeah, we have some slides now to finish, okay? But yeah, it should have passed, okay? I need to check why it didn't pass, okay, in this case. But you get the idea. So that's what we have in here with Azure policies. And look, you basically can get everywhere you want. And there's this slide that I really want to show you, which is about comparing policies with RBAC. Imagine that you have a cloud admin there. You want to try to deploy a cloud resource. RBAC gets in place, role-based access control. Does that Azure admin has access to deploy the cloud resource he's trying to deploy into the scope that he's trying to deploy? No. Okay, denied. It's just what it is, right? That's standard RBAC. Oh, no, he has permissions. He can do it. Oh, okay. Now we're going to check the Azure policy. And if the Azure policy is restricting an Azure policy this, oh, yes, it is. Cloud resource is denied. Only if not is that actually the cloud resource is created. So first RBAC. If RBAC is good, then Azure policies are going to be applied, okay? So that's what we have with this. Just to close up, session takeaways, okay? Create a naming convention. Implement Azure policy to enforce tags. Start your Azure governance approach today. This is massively important, okay? Find, developer, and non-used virtual machines. Optimize your costs using features like reservations and spot instances. You can save tons of money just with those two things, okay? I once saved on a company almost around like 700,000 USD, so US dollars, per year, 700,000. You heard it right, okay? Just on those two things, okay, implemented with some policies to restrict the sizes too, etc. But we were able to save them 700,000 a year, and this was like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, probably 4. So, 4 years ago, 700, 700, 700, 700. You get the point, right? So there's a lot of money out there to be saved. Okay? So thank you so much. My name is Tiago, and this is how you enforce governance in your Azure environments. And don't forget to follow me. So if you want to know more about Azure, more about, basically technology, AI, etc., you can always go on follow.tiagocosta.com. You have all my socials there, especially, LinkedIn, where I'm like super active. And, I also have a bunch of stuff prepped for the new fiscal year. Okay, lots of ideas. So it will be fun to have you on my journey. Okay, there you go. That's it. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tiago. Perfect and awesome as always. And yeah, people, if you haven't followed Tiago yet, don't miss the time. Follow him, and you will learn a lot from Tiago. And he's literally a legend. But yeah, thank you so much, Tiago, that you were in our stage again. It was really, really amazing. This information that you shared with us regarding the architecture, VAF, CAF, we can find bunch of these information inside Microsoft Learn, other contents, but the way that you explain it, it's very, very easy to understand for people that they want to start with these kind of best practices.
Mhm.
And it was really great. I learned a lot from this session. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's always a pleasure to be here. Okay.
Thanks, Tiago. Perfect.
Perfect.
Do you have any questions?
we-
Just checking.
Yeah, we have a thank you for you from Jose. You already know him, but yeah, it was really excellent session. Perfect. Seems we don't have any questions,
Yeah.
and yeah, actually we have one just pop up. Let's see.
Is there any official governance document coming from Microsoft? Yeah. So you can, if you just go on Cloud Adoption Framework, let me just drag this in here. So this is the place to be. Okay, it's just Cloud Adoption Framework for Azure, and that, like, everything that is about governance, it's somewhere deep in here. So there's not like a document or a link that has everything. But on the governance, you just go here on on overview, and also on checklists, and you have here about little bit about governance. Okay, and also some of the checklists that you can have here. Okay, in terms of who should do what, etc. But that document that I build for my customers doesn't exist anywhere else. Okay, that's something that's kind of my work, and this is what I do for my customers. But there is nothing there. I have some ideas of bringing this and like open source that document, but I still don't have it in the place and in the that perfection that I want. There's still some stuff missing there so that I can actually open that. Okay, but yeah, but thanks for the question, Angelo. Okay,
Yeah,
always a pleasure.
and it does make sense because we have a bunch of contents from Microsoft Learn regarding cloud adoption framework. However, sometimes we need to adopt this kind of solution to our scenarios. It depends to what kind of companies we are working with.
We have another question from Vicente. I hope I
Yeah, related to allowed regions and exceptions. What is the resource type for AI document intelligence that can use to create an exception? I think well, I'm not getting totally the question, but I think what Vicente is saying is, if for example, we have like an AI region that is, for example, we're using like OpenAI, for example, and we do not have OpenAI available in the region that we allowed stuff. Yeah, you can create exemptions in the in the policy assignments. Definitely, you can do that, but you also need to ask yourself where you are implementing that policy. For example, that customer that I was telling you about, that is a Gov customer, they have a law that says you can only use this region. Okay, which doesn't say region, it just says you can use cloud providers, but as long as the region or the servers are within our country borders. That's what the actual law says. Okay, so in Azure terms, they can only use that region. If the service is not available, that means they cannot use that service. It's as clear as that. Okay. So it's also something that you need to question yourself why you're doing, why you're writing that policy. Okay. But yeah, definitely you can create an exemption on the regions, and then on the policy, sorry, and then allow other region for, like, imagine I did this for a subscription. Then I can say, hey, but I exempt that resource group. So then you have a resource group that doesn't need to follow the rules on that. But it's always something that I honestly not a big fan of that. Okay, so you need to be careful with that.
Yeah. I had a question, but I've seen someone in LinkedIn also ask or mention about that. How much assessment forms can help us to understand the current
Mhm.
situation that we have in organization? Just briefly explain it for us, Tiago.
No, yeah. So there's like a lot of assessment forums that you can also find, okay, on Microsoft, Docs Learn that we have there, and even if you don't implement them, yeah, even if you don't implement them, all of them, okay, you can just kind of inspire yourself on those, and then just filter the stuff that makes sense for your customers. Okay, that's usually something that I do. I just go through them and I see, wow, this doesn't make any sense for this customer, so I'm not going to bother the customer with this. I just create this, and definitely it's great because you can have an understanding what is the customer today, and then you do governance on this. You do the assessment forms again, and then you show them this was you 2 months ago. After you spend all this money with me, now you are this. Get the idea? So you kind of actually justify also, the money that they have invested, and they see, well, yeah, now
Yeah.
we're way better. So it was not money. It was money well spent. Let's just say that. Okay, it was money well spent. So it was a good investment. So I always use assessments also to kind of prove my value into the projects, and usually it works very well with customers. Okay.
Amazing, amazing, perfect. Thank you for the answers. Uh, I believe we don't have more questions, and since, as always, we have this goal. If there is a good question, so you are going to choose the best one, and we will give them a voucher for advanced and fundamental exam.
I was
That's the
going to
point.
say that. However, I just
Uh,
realized we don't have that much questions. Like we have 2 or 3 questions.
Yeah.
well, yeah, this one, okay, on the assessments, I think it's a very good one. Okay, so
Which one?
the last one about the assessments. This is
Oh,
also
you mean the
useful. Yeah,
included
yeah, yeah,
link?
yeah, 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 with the link, because that's the one that talked about the assessments, right?
Yes.
And I think that's something that I'm sure we can. I think because this is really a very important thing, and this link is pretty good. So that's great feedback. Okay, I don't know who the LinkedIn user is,
Yeah, I
but
don't know. StreamYard. I went
but
Just
crazy.
we,
need to
Normally we
show
have
the name.
names.
I guess
yeah,
we can
yeah.
see them in the comments.
Yeah, you can. I think you can go directly on LinkedIn and see, because I think the problem is that there's some GDPR thing with LinkedIn that we don't see them
Um,
anymore in the platform that we're using here. because the LinkedIn restricted that. But you can go there and you can find who
We,
the
we will
person is.
find this guy.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
problem.
yeah,
We have a voucher for you if you're still watching us.
yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Tiago. And I believe soon we will have you on this stage with another interesting topic. But thank you so much for this time. And we learned a lot as usual
Really
from.
enjoyed it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, yeah, welcome. Okay. See you.
Perfect.
Bye bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Take
Bye bye.
care. Bye.